Hola, gente linda. Hello, beautiful people. Hola is hello in Spanish, just in case some people don't know that greedy. And gente linda means beautiful people in Spanish. I'm Nelly Z. My goal for my YouTube channel is to study the topics for the licensed clinical social worker exam together and share this material with someone who may need it. First, I would like to share a quote to continue to be inspired and motivated to carry on with this journey. We started to study Erik's theory, and we will continue in this video. Here is the link to the article that we are reviewing. And I will post the link to this article under the video for your review at your convenience. Finally, thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. If you would like to receive a notification when I upload a video, please subscribe and don't forget to like this video so we can all maximize the gift of the technology of this time. I also get motivated and inspired to get with this crazy idea of studying together for the LCX exam. Adios, mi gente linda, and many blessings. And I'm going to share now the quote. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. Let's read it again. It's a nice quote. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is a quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. Don't we all need courage, especially in this journey that we are studying this exam? Okay, we're gonna go to Google and we're gonna look for the article that we were reviewing last time. And here is the article. We are going to start here. Identity crisis. Have you ever felt confused about your place in life or not quite sure if you really know the real you? If so, you may be experiencing an identity crisis. Erikson coined the term identity crisis and believed that it was one of the most important conflicts people face during the developmental process. According to Erikson, an identity crisis is a time of intensive analysis and exploration of different ways of looking at oneself. Erikson's contribution to psychology. Erik Erikson spent time studying the cultural life of the Sioux of South Dakota and the Yurok of Northern California. He utilized the knowledge he gained about cultural, environmental, and social influences to further develop his psychoanalytic theory. While Freud's theory focused on the psychosexual aspect of development, Erikson's addition of the other influences helped to broaden and expand psychoanalytic theory. He also contributed to our understanding of personality as it developed and shaped over the course of the lifespan. His observation of children also helped set the stages for further research. You see a child playing, he was quoted as saying in his New York Times obituary, and it is so close to seeing an artist paint. For in a plane, a child says things without uttering a word. You can see how he solved his problem. You can also see what's wrong. Young children especially have enormous creativity, and whatever's in then rises to the surface in free play. Okay, so we're not gonna read Erik's publication because we don't need that, but we do need to know the 8 stages. So we're gonna expand into stages of theory psychosocial. Okay. Erikson's stages of development, a closer look at the 8 psychosocial stages. Erikson was an ego psychologist who developed one of the most popular and influential theories of development. While his theory was impacted by psychoanalytic Sigmund Freud's work, Erikson's theory centered on psychosocial development rather than psychosexual development. So we can see the difference between Erikson's and Freud. So Freud concentrated in the psychosexual development and Mr. Erikson in the psychosocial development, psychosocial, and Mr. Freud psychosexual. We can see that big difference. The stages that make up his theory are as follows. Stage 1, trust versus mistrust. Infancy from birth to 18 months. Stage 2, autonomy versus shame and doubt. Toddler years from 18 months to 3 years. Stage 3, initiative versus guilt. Preschool years from 3 to 5. Stage 4, industry versus inferiority. Middle school years from 6 to 11. Stage 5, identity versus confusion. Teen years from 12 to 18. Stage 6, intimacy versus isolation. Young adult years from 18 to 40. Stage 7, generativity versus explanation. Middle age from 40 to 65. Stage 8, integrity versus despair. Older adulthood from 65 to death. Let's take a closer look at the background and different stages that make up Erikson's psychosocial theory. And here is a great chart, about the stages of psychosocial development. And which one is the first one? The infants, trust versus mistrust. And we can see a baby battle. And we can actually relate with the oral stage. Remember the Freud, the early childhood, autonomy versus shame and doubt. And remember the Freud was the anal stage. And then we come the initiative versus guilt, the preschool. And for Freud was the phallic, remember? The school age, inducer versus inferiority. And then it comes the phallic and come the latent stage. And then it comes the adolescence, identity versus role confusion. Freud was the genital stage. And then it was done. Mr. Freud just was done in here. It was, so Mr. Erikson's great here, the other stages. young adulthood, intimacy versus isolation, middle adulthood, generativity versus stagnation. And we can see in the young adulthood is basically about relationship, finding love, all that kind of thing. Middle adulthood, generativity, stagnation, there is a home, maturity, ego, integrity versus despair. I don't know if it is a mirror or a grave. I don't know exactly what it is. This. Overview Erikson stage of development. So what exactly the Erikson's theory of psychosocial development entail? Much like Simon Freud, Erikson believed that personality development in series of stages. Unlike Freud's theory of psychosexual stages, however, Erikson's theory described the impact of social experience across the whole lifespan. Erikson was interested in how social interaction and relationship played a role in development and growth of human beings. Erikson's theory was based on what is known as epigenetic principle. This principle suggests that people grow in sequences that occurs over time in the context of larger community. There's a video of 1.5. Let's hear that video. Share sound.
Erik Erikson was a psychologist who believed that personality develops in a series of stages. These stages describe the impact of social experience across a lifespan. To this day, it is one of the most influential theories of development. During the first stage, children develop trust when caregivers provide affection, and a lack of care can lead to mistrust. The second stage takes place during early childhood, when children develop more personal control and independence. The third stage of psychosocial development takes place during the preschool years. Children begin to assert their control through directing play and social interactions. The fourth stage takes place from around ages 5 to 11. Children develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments and abilities. The essential fifth stage takes place during the turbulent teenage years. Teenagers develop a sense of identity, which will influence behavior for the rest of their lives. Stage 6 covers the period of early adulthood, when people are exploring personal relationships. Stage 7 is adulthood. Those who thrive during this phase will feel that they are contributing to the world and being active in their community. And those who fail will feel unproductive and uninvolved in the world. The final psychosocial stage occurs during old age, when people reflect on their lives and decide if they are happy. Erikson's observations have stayed relevant throughout the years, and researchers have identified even more substages of identity formation.
Nice video. Right? I hope you like it.
Erik Erikson was a psychologist who believed
conflict during each stage. Each stage in Erikson theory builds on the preceding stages and paves the way for following periods of development. In each stage, Erikson believed people experience a conflict that serves as a turning point in development. In Erikson's view, these conflicts are centered on either developing a psychological quality or failing to develop that quality. During this time, the potential for personal growth is high, but so is the potential for failure. If people successfully deal with the conflict, they emerge from the stage with psychological strength that will serve them well for the rest of their life. If they fail to deal effectively with these conflicts, they may not develop the essential skills needed for a strong sense of self. Here is the mastering leads to ego strength. Erikson can also believe that a sense of competence motivates behavior and action. Each stage in Erikson's theory is concerned with becoming competent in an area of life. If the stage is handling well, the person will feel a sense of mastering, which is sometimes referred to as ego strength or ego quality. If the stage is managed poorly, the person will emerge with a sense of inadequacy in the aspect of development. Psychosocial stage, a summary chart. Age, conflict, important events, outcome. So an infant from birth to 18 months, the conflict is trust versus mistrust. Important events is the feeling, the outcome is the hope. Early childhood, from 2 to 3 years, the conflict is autonomy versus shame and doubt. Important event is the toilet training. The outcome will be the will. Okay, so then we have the preschool stage, which is the 3 to 5 years. The conflict will be initiative versus guilt. Important stage is exploration. The outcome is the purpose. Then we have the other stage, which is the school age, 6 to 11 years, which is the induction versus inferiority, which is the school time. The outcome is the confidence. Okay? So then it comes the adolescence, 12 to 18 years. The conflict, which is identity versus role confusion. And what is that? The event is social relationship, and the outcome is fidelity. Then is the other stage, which is the young adulthood from 19 to 40, which the conflict is the intimacy versus isolation. Important events is relationship. The outcome is the love. Interesting. Then the other stage is middle adulthood. The conflict is the generality versus explanation. And the event is work and parenthood. The outcome is the care. Then the other stage is the maturity, which is the 65 years old to death. And the conflict is the ego integrity versus despair. The event is a reflection on life, and the outcome is wisdom. Okay? A brief summary of the 8th stage. Stage 1, trust versus mistrust. The first stage of Erikson's theory of psychosocial development occurs between birth and 1 year of age, and is the most fundamental stage in life because an infant is utterly dependent. Developing trust is based on the dependability and quality of child's caregiver. At this point in development, the child is utterly dependent upon adults, caregivers for everything they need to survive, including food, love, warmth, safety, nurturing. If a caregiver fails to provide adequate care and love, the child will come to feel that they cannot trust or depend upon the adults in their life. Outcome. If a child successfully develops trust, the child will feel safe, secure in the world. Caregivers who are inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or rejecting contribute to feelings of mistrust in the children under their care. Failure to develop trust will result in fear and belief that worth is inconsistent and unpredictable. During the first stage of psychosocial development, children develop a sense of trust when caregivers provide a reliability, a care, and function. A lack of this will lead to mistrust or will lead to mistrust. No child is going to develop a sense of 100% trust or 100% doubt. Erikson believed that successfully development was all about striking a balance between the two opposing sides. When this happens, children acquire hope, which Erikson described as an openness to experience tempered by some wariness that danger may be present. Subsequent work by research included John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth demonstrated by the importance of trust in forming healthy attachment during childhood and adulthood. Okay, stage 2, autonomy versus shame and doubt. The second stage of Erikson's theory of psychosocial development takes place early childhood and is focused on children's developing a greater sense of personal control, the role of independence. At this point in development, children are just starting to gain a little independence. They're starting to perform basic actions on their own and making simple decisions about what they prefer. By allowing kids to make choices and gain control, parents and caregivers can help children develop a sense of autonomy. Party training. The essential theme of this stage is that children need to develop a sense of personal control over physical skills and a sense of independence. Party training plays an important role in helping children develop this sense of autonomy. Like Freud, Erikson believed that toilet training was a vital part of this process. However, Erikson's reasoning was quite different than the Freud's. Erikson believed that learning to control one's bodily functions leads to a feeling of control and sense of independence. Other important events include gaining more control over food choices, toy preference, and clothing selection. Outcome. Children who struggle and who are shamed for their accidents may be left without a sense of personal control. Success during this stage of psychosocial development leads to feelings of autonomy. Failure results in feelings of shame and doubt. Finding balance. Children who successfully complete this stage feel secure and confident, while those who do not are left with a sense of inadequacy and self-doubt. Erikson believed that achieving a balance between autonomy and shame and doubt will lead to will, which is the belief that children can act with intention, within reason and limits. So the outcome is the will. Remember? Stage 3, initiative versus guilt. The third stage of psychosocial development takes place during the preschool years. At this point in psychosocial development, children begin to assert their power and control over their world through directing play and other social interactions. Children who are successful at this stage feel capable and able to lead others. Those who fail to acquire these skills are left with a sense of guilt, self-doubt, and lack of initiative. Outcomes. The major theme of the third stage of psychosocial development is that children need to begin asserting control and power over the environment. Success in this stage leads to a sense of purpose. Children who try to exert too much power experience disapproval, resulting in a sense of guilt. When ideal balance of individual initiative and willingness to work with others is achieved, the ego quality known as a purposes emerge. So remember what is the outcome? Purpose. Stage 4, industry versus inferiority. The fourth psychosocial stage takes place during the early school years from approximately ages 5 to 11. Through social interactions, children begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments and abilities. Children need to cope with the new social academic demands. Success leads to a sense of competence, while failure results in feeling of inferiority. outcomes, children who are encouraged and commended by parents and teachers develop a feeling of competence and belief in their skill. Those who receive a little or no encouragement from parents, teachers, or peers will doubt their ability to be successful. Successfully finding a balance at this stage of psychosocial development leads to the strength known as a competence, in which children develop a belief in their abilities to handle the task set before them. Okay? Stage 5, identity versus confusion. The fifth psychosocial stage takes place during often turbulent teenage years. This stage plays an essential role developing a sense of personal identity, which will continue to influence behavior and develop for the rest of a person's life. Teens need to develop a sense of self and a personal identity. Success leads to an ability to stay true to yourself, while failure leads to role confusion and a weak sense of self. During adolescence, children explore their independence and develop a sense of self. Those who receive proper encouragement and reinforcement through personal exploration will emerge from this stage with a strong sense of self and feelings of independence and control. Those who remain unsure of their beliefs and design will feel insecure and confused about themselves and future. What is identity? When psychologists talk about identity, they are referring to all of the beliefs, ideals, and values that help shape and guide a person's behavior. Completing this stage successfully leads to fidelity, which Erikson described as an ability to live by society's standard and expectation. This is the outcome for this stage, fidelity. Okay, so while Erikson believed that each stage of psychosocial development wasn't important, he placed a particular emphasis on the development of ego identity. Ego identity is the conscious sense of self that we develop through social interaction and become a central focus during the identity versus confusion stage of psychosocial development. According to Erikson, our ego identity constantly changes due to new experience and information we acquire in our daily interactions with others. As we have new experiences, we also take on challenges that can help or hinder the development of identity. Why identity is important? Our personal identity gives each of us an integrated and cohesive sense of self that endures through our lives. Our sense of personal identity is shaped by our experiences and interaction with others. And it is this identity that helps guide our actions, beliefs, and behaviors as we age. Wow, that's why Erikson thinks that it's very important, this stage. Stage 6, intimacy versus isolation. Young adults need to form intimate, loving relationships with other people. Success leads to strong relationships, while failure results in loneliness and isolation. This stage covers the period of early adulthood, when people are exploring personal relationships. Erikson believed it was vital that people develop close, committing relationships with others. People, those who are successful at this step will form relationships that are endured and secure. Building on early stages, Remember that each step builds on skills learned in previous steps. Erikson believed that a strong sense of personal identity was important for developing intimate relationships. Studies have demonstrated that those with a poor sense of self tend to have less committed relationships and are more likely to struggle with emotional, isolated, and lonely and depression. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop here because this is going to be a little bit long and I don't want to lose your attention. Thank you so much for staying with me. Many blessings and see you soon in the next video. And we'll continue analyzing this great theory of Erikson. See you next time. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Bye-bye.